This is a different little setup for me, but we have to get into some seriousness. Hold on, let me put my nail back on because I put these on last night. Why are they already coming off? See, do I want the braids in the front or the back? In the front, it'll probably look... I kind of like them in the front, but I want them to be like seen. You can't really see it. Let's go ahead and get into the video. What is up, fashionistas? Welcome to the channel if you are new. If you've been here before, welcome back. You know me, Kaisha B. I'm not really sure of how to start this video, but judging by you looking at the video and reading the title, you already know what I'm kind of going to be touching on. So I guess we're going to get back into it. Get straight into it. I start class tomorrow. If you are new, I am in college. I'll be going into my 3rd year. But for those of you who have been around for a while and have seen like my whole process, y'all are probably wondering, like, this background is looking like you're still at home. I am. I transferred from the University of Memphis. I now attend the University of Cincinnati in Ohio. This is where I actually live. I was born in Kentucky, literally right across the waters. I guess we can start off talking about like why did I transfer and kind of the story behind what led to me leaving U of M. It was kind of in my head even when I first started going to Memphis that I'm not sure if I 100% want to be here. I don't know if I've told y'all, but I never visited U of M, never did a college tour. I just was looking at colleges and was like, okay, I don't want to be too close to home. I don't want to be too far from home. But, you know, I want to be away. I want to get to experience and explore like different areas. University of Memphis was one of the few colleges that were in close proximity to where I lived that I was like, okay, the tuition's not too high. Like for an out-of-state student for U of M, it was very cheap. That's not the thing that is scaring me away. I just decided to go on a whim and go to this college. I made a crazy decision. When my mom and I first went to Memphis, that was my first time going, was when I went to my orientation. It was kind of a tumultuous time at that point as well. It was just very hectic and just a lot of things that when we first got here was pointing red flags, but it wasn't necessarily the school, it was just a situation. When I first came to Memphis, I was a little bit apprehensive about it. I was looking forward to this college life, but I am a first generation student, so I really didn't know what to expect. So when I got there, you know, I was really just on my stuff, making sure that I attended class, making sure that I'm very much so focused on what I'm there to do, and that was be in school. After the fall semester, the spring semester, I kind of started warming up a little bit. I still didn't really make friends. I was in a very odd time. There was a situation that happened where it was like, there was just a few things that happened in school where it was like, damn, this is like just rocks being thrown at me and I don't really understand why. It was a lot of new experiences, some good, some bad. Sometimes I just focused on the bad a little bit more, and I feel like that's another reason why I was wanting to part ways with University of Memphis my first year, especially with me just jumping into something. Like, first of all, I've never been to Memphis. This is my first time ever being in Memphis, so it was like this very wild, very different and new experience by myself. No family to rely on when I was in Memphis. I had family there, but it wasn't family that I've really been communicating with or that I could like lean on and have somebody to go to if I did need help with something, you know? Memphis is 7.5 hours away from where I currently live. So that drive, my mom would drive me there and she would drive back, you know, to drop me off, and she would drive back. So that's a good 14-15 hours of her driving to and from just to get me to school. Like I said, I was warming up in the spring semester, getting the college experience, getting the college life, and meeting new people, of course. I was still in this awkward stage of like finding myself branching out and talking to people, because in high school I was middle and high school I was very introverted, very to myself. I don't know if I was shy, I was just very reserved, very demure to myself. I kind of carried that a little bit into college, but I did want to kind of in a way like reinvent myself coming to this new place, coming to this new school. So there were times where I was like talking and just talking to random people and getting more comfortable with that. My first year, it was just just this in and out of like, do I want to be here really? And that was weighing heavy on my mind. But I feel like I wasn't really giving the school a chance. So even though I had mentioned to a few people like, oh, I might transfer, I'm not sure if I'm really liking Memphis, I just didn't know if the city was for me. There was this feeling inside of me that was like telling me that this isn't for me, basically. I did kind of hone in and focus on that a lot more, but I still gave it another chance. I was telling my mom, I'm not sure if I want to be here, but I'm gonna give it another year, and if I still feel the same way, then I'll transfer. I didn't want to make such a fast moving decision when I really don't feel like I gave the school a chance. Like, there's only so much you can experience your first year of school and really know if like the school is for you. So I did. I gave it another chance. I guess we can go into the second year of me attending U of M. I had made more friends at this point, met a lot of people, getting connected, and this is when I actually started like getting involved on campus. Like I said, meeting new people. So I did feel a little more comfortable because I was starting to know other people and feeling like I was kind of grabbing on to this community. I did make friends like my first year, but I also lost friends. That's what happens. It's like, I feel like I was really living the college experience life. Count how many times I'm saying college experience in this video. I feel like it's been a lot. That was what I was kind of leaning towards into. I was having fun that I really never experienced in high school. I would not consider myself one of the popular kids in high school by any means. I was kind of like that mid-ground. Like, even though I played sports, I was kind of in that level of like, okay, some people recognize who I am, maybe know who I am, but I never really was in the mixing it up. So my second semester, I felt like I was getting more comfortable and getting more acquainted with Memphis and understanding and knowing the city. I missed a few points in my first year as well. Like, I did have an internship my first year and it was kind of crazy. It was just some things where I was like, oh my gosh, I really feel like, I don't know if I want to say in danger, but there are moments I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not want to be involved in this. So I did quit the internship very fast. It wasn't even considered an internship at the school because I was in my first year, so I guess you can only do internships like when you're a junior or senior. Besides that point, I just needed to throw that in there as well. I was doing an internship in my second year. I started working at Old Navy. I did feel like I was becoming more a part of Memphis because I had been there. This would be my second year technically living there. It was still hard to really know if the city was for me because I was just experiencing the university. I wasn't experiencing Memphis as a whole. So that's something to think about too. I did want to make this more of like a tips about transferring type of video and understanding what to look out for and what it means for you. If you're thinking about transferring, do take account of like the city as a whole. I don't know what your circumstances are and if you can do that. Came to college, I was still thinking about my future. Like, this is a very pertinent era in my life where I'm like, okay, I am just now starting my career and getting more serious about what I want to do. I also have to think about what am I going to do after college, and that's what's been weighing more heavy on my mind coming into the second year. Is Memphis somewhere I want to live? It's not saying that after you graduate you have to live in the city where you graduated at, but it's like I would like to experience an area where I could see myself living in. And Memphis was slowly becoming less and less of that type of place for me to want to be. I got more acquainted with like the fashion experiences. I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I am a fashion design major. I was minoring in entrepreneurship at the time, and I was also in the honors program. I was just seeing a lot of signs that was like, do I really want this type of energy, this type of environment for me to be in? And I just felt myself feeling less and less a part of the fashion community for some reason. Like, I was just noticing things. I don't know if this just isn't a whole like the experience of like being in fashion, because I've heard a lot of things about how it is in the fashion industry, but it's like you really don't know until you experience it. I was having a lot of emotional not turmoils because that sounds very dramatic. I was having these greater feelings of sadness coming into my second year. Although I felt like I was part of a community more and more, I still felt like I was losing myself more as well, which was kind of crazy to me. I didn't really understand it at the time. It was just tough. It was challenging. So I started taking account of more factors, and this is when I know it was kind of becoming more real that I wanted to transfer. I applied to 2 other schools. I actually applied to schools, whereas in my first year I was just mentioning transferring. Like, I never took the initiative to apply to other schools. I think it was like November or December of the fall semester, one of those being University of Cincinnati. But I also applied to the school called Kent State, which is in Kent, Ohio, which is about 3 hours away from Cincinnati. I got accepted to both schools, and it was like later on throughout my second year of college, especially towards the end, I was taking account of those other reasons for why I might need to transfer and why transferring at this moment might be the best decision for my life circumstances. One of those being my mental well-being. Like, how did I feel at this school? This would be more of like the tips if you're thinking about transferring. I do recommend one being, how is your mental health? How are you feeling at this school? How are you feeling in the environment you're in? How do you feel about the people that you meet? Are you just not exploring your options in this school as much as you could be, which is making it tough for you to feel like you're at home at this school? The second thing that I had to think about was my mom. Like, she's been the biggest help when it comes to school. She's getting me to school, she's getting me from school, and it's like it was a lot on her to be able to keep making that trip back and forth. Mind you, she never complained about it, but I know it was just really tough for her to do it because, you know, personal life circumstances. So you have to think about that. The second thing will be personal life circumstances. Like, how is this affecting not only you, but how is this affecting your family? Like, at the end of the day, it is your decision. Don't ever make it something that your parents are telling you to do. Like, this was not my mom telling me to transfer. Did she put out the idea of like what schools might be suitable? Yes, she did, but she was not like, you need to transfer. She was very much so like, it's your decision, whatever's best for you. I am there for you with whatever decision that you decide to make. And when I mentioned it to my brother, he was also like that. Sometimes it was a little bit hard because even though like it's my decision, I still rely on my mom or my brother to sometimes help me with certain things that it's like, I need a second input. But sometimes that second input is me wanting somebody to tell me what to do, which is something that I'm learning how to get out of because I'm adulting. I need to make my own decisions. So that was one of the hardest parts about being able to make this decision. The third was finances. I already mentioned to y'all that University of Memphis is not that expensive for an out-of-state student as far as tuition and fees go. But when you add in getting to the school, traveling back home during winter break, just some of those factors that's like you don't really think about in the middle of it, it adds up. It was becoming a little challenging on the financial aspect as far as things that I have to think about paying for, that it's like sometimes it's not the easiest to do. And with that, I wasn't able to work a lot in school. Like, I'm not a college student who's like going to be working 24/7, doing class, getting involved on campus all at once. Like, I need to prioritize what I feel like is most important, and what's most important to me is getting this education, is being involved on campus. So that's going to take a lot of my time. I wasn't able to be working 40 hours a week. Mind you, props to the people who do it. Props to you. For me, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey. That's not something I really see myself doing. I'm not a person who wants to work myself to the ground unless it's something that I'm passionate about. And honestly, I'm not passionate about working one of these everyday jobs. Like, I'm working, like, I guess you could say a typical college student job. I work in retail right now. And while I like working in retail, I am not going to run myself rugged because I'm afraid of being broke. But the thing is, I don't have to worry about that because I'm not broke. Broke is a mentality. Never once was it like, oh, I'm just letting myself be broke. No, I'ma still work. I'ma still get my coin. But I'm not gonna overdo it just to have more on more and more coin. You know what I'm saying? As I am adulting, I'm understanding the whole process more and more. And I feel like I'm becoming a lot more aware and a lot more responsible and planning out how my finances go. Sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow, but hey, it happens. Like, I'm getting older. I'm not at the point where I'm like, I can just be spending my money however, and I don't mind it because I'm not one to do that really. Now, sometimes, you know, I have my little splurge moment, but it's nothing major. Like, I'm still responsible with it. As the spring semester of my second year is coming to an end, I'm on the edge and I'm already knowing that I'm not returning to the University of Memphis. That was very challenging for me to, I'm trying not to cry. That was very challenging for me to come to grips with because I was mentioning it to people who I felt closest to at Memphis. Oh my gosh, now I'm about to cry. I'm not going to. I started mentioning to my closest friends, the people who I felt really cared about me. They could tell that something was up with me. And so once I started mentioning these things to my friends and them seeing how emotional I was in the moment of it, they were very supportive. And that really stuck with me, and that really, oh, I was not trying to get emotional, y'all. I felt like I was, but I wasn't trying to. Okay. Let's get back. When my friends were there for me and really understanding and really being a support system to me, that meant so much to me, like more than I could really explain to them. And even now, like, if you're watching this video and you've been that support, you've reached out, you've been caring, I just want to thank you so much, because it means so much to me having people outside of family that I can rely on and that I can put my trust into. Like, that's not something I'm used to doing. So when it becomes to being vulnerable to other people outside of my family, when I tell you my family is small, it's like 3 people. It's like 3 people, like my closest family, because honestly I'm not close with the majority of my family on my mom or my father's side. I think that's been one of the biggest things that's been a challenge for me to accept in my life, is that support from outside people and explaining to them how I feel, and them just being there. Even if I can't get out the words, they're just like, I'm here for you. So thank you to all those people who have been there. You are very much so appreciated. Now we can get into me making the decision on which school to go to. That's when it was really difficult to figure out what I wanted to do, is choosing the school. Choosing whether to stay, whether to go to UC, or whether to go to Kent State. That's the next tip I will give to you all, is weigh out your pros and your cons, because that's really what I was doing when it came to the schools. The 2 schools that were going head to head were the University of Memphis and UC. I put in factors of what am I getting at Memphis that I couldn't get at UC, and what would I get at UC that I wouldn't get at Memphis, and what are the cons that each come with. From each of the 3 schools, the tuition wasn't really a problem. One of the cons about UC is that their program is 5 years instead of 4, so that means I would have to be in school longer. One of the cons about Kent State was that it would still be far away from home, and at this point I would still be paying room and board costs, so it would still be like that out of state, not out of state, but away from home finances that you would have to pay for, like getting to Kent State, getting back home from Kent State. Even though it's closer in proximity, it's still something to think about. I never toured Kent State either, so it will be the same as University of Memphis. I'm going into these schools blind, basically. So that was another con, because it's like, I don't want to go into another situation somewhere new and literally have the same experiences that I had at University of Memphis that I was not liking. University of Cincinnati was looking like a better option than Kent State. Once summer comes, I still haven't officially made the switch yet. I still signed up for fall classes at University of Memphis just in case, just to have that as like a backup. Still had not confirmed whether I was attending University of Cincinnati or Kent State. That was basically what was happening through summer. It was like, okay, I feel like the decision to go to UC is more apparent and is more evident to choose that option. So it was in my head that I was going to attend UC. I just hadn't, like I said, I hadn't made that final decision yet. I feel like I was really stalling throughout the whole summer when it came to it, because my mind hadn't come to acceptance of this new change in my life. Even though I was saying all these things happening in Memphis, I still felt like it was an integral part of my development as a college student and as a human in general, because I was there for the past 2 years. I was in Memphis more than I was at home. So all of the experiences, all the people I met, is something that I knew I was going to miss. So feeling like I still had a piece of it by like signing up for classes and registering still made me feel like I wasn't losing something. That was the biggest thing. It was hard to get through that part of like, okay, you are actually done with the University of Memphis. You're actually finished. You're no longer coming back. I actually waited. Here's the thing. I made a mistake when it came to confirming my enrollment to UC. Once I gathered myself and was like, okay, it's time to pay the enrollment fee, which I realized I didn't even have to pay. Once I finally did, it was really hard. I was very emotional. I finally unregistered for all the classes at U of M and got in the process of switching schools. That was a really tough part for me, but what really made me the most emotional, I had this meeting with all the advisors for my program. This was like a few weeks ago. I had that meeting with them and they were basically giving me all the information that I would need to understand like how my transition to the school would be, the length of my program, and what credits would transfer. They're explaining to me that all of my fashion classes look like they would transfer even though it hadn't been 100% processed yet, which by the way, it still isn't 100% processed yet with all of my classes combined. The advisor was like, okay, your fashion classes align with our programs very closely, so those transfer credits are gonna go ahead and go and process. And she was like, that would make you a year into our program. After that, she was like, so that puts your graduation date at 2028. I was set to graduate in 2026, so the year after the next. When she told me that, it literally made my heart drop, shatter on the ground. Like if my heart was a piece of glass that you just tripped and fell and dropped, that's how my heart felt when she said that. And I was asking, I was like, okay, like even though I'm happy that my credits are transferring, I'm still sitting here like, wait, so you're telling me my graduation is pushed 2 years later? I asked her, is there any way to expedite that? She said no. That's like a solid, yeah, that's a solid forecast of how long it's going to take you to get through our program. I was keeping my composure while I was on that advising meeting with everyone. I was on that meeting with like 4 people altogether. They were very helpful. I really felt good energy from everyone that I spoke with. Once I was done with that Zoom meeting, when I tell you I just broke down crying. I will be going into my 3rd year. You're telling me I still have 4 years to go after I've already been in college? This would be my 3rd year going in college and I thought I was about to graduate in a year? You're telling me I still have 4 years? I was so emotional. I still kind of am. I've calmed down from it a lot because I'm just going through the processes right now, and that's all I can really say at the moment, and that's all I can really do right now is go through the moment. I registered for my classes now. It was a little bit challenging too because they have a co-op program, which is why their program is 5 years. So I guess I can't expedite my graduation date because the times where I could be possibly, I guess, having classes is when they have their co-op schedule. That's not really changeable in their program. I was really coming to terms with this whole new date of my graduation and talking to my friends back at home, well, my friend back at home and my mom, and it was all like, okay, even though it seems like this finish line is coming pushed further and further back, what if this is a better opportunity for you career-wise? What if this will be better for you in the long run? And maybe you'll get more out of it by coming to the school. So at this moment, I'm really just weighing out the new experiences that I'll be able to get, the new people I'll be able to meet. Their program is more developed. I can get with that. They have more to offer than U of M because U of M's fashion program is a lot newer, so they're still getting into getting the equipment and things like that. I was becoming more at ease with this decision. It's still tough. Like right now, it is still tough for me to accept this. I can only look at the bright side of it right now. I start classes tomorrow and I'm actually excited. Like I look forward to seeing what these classes offer. I'm looking forward to what new things are gonna be at this campus. I'm putting in some clips of like when I went to orientation and when I went to first week event. I did some exploring of the DAP building, that stands for Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning. It's like a well-renowned program. There were so many turns and stairs and floors, but it was really interesting getting to see everything in that building and seeing the students work. And I just look forward to it at this point because that's all I can do. I know I've been talking for a long time. I really wanted this video to only be 15 minutes, but really fitting all that into 15 minutes I don't think was possible. I am interested to see how these next years go. Who's to say everything's gonna go just how that meeting went with the advisors? Who knows? I know I will miss and do miss U of M. It's been an important part of my life. I met a lot of great people. I just appreciate that for what Memphis did give me. If you have any more questions about transferring, leave it down below. Feel free to. Thank you, Memphis, for everything that you gave me. Thank you to everyone who I met. and thank you to everything that will be forthcoming. And thank y'all for watching this video. I hope I could resonate with a few of you. I really wanted to make this video when I felt right to make this video. I will catch y'all in the next one. It might be a video in between and then my first day back, so we'll see how that goes because I've kind of been behind on editing. Remember to stay positive and that no matter what, you got to strut. I'll see y'all next time.